Amazing. What's going on, guys? How are you on this great Monday night? Um, this is amazing. All right, hold on, guys. There's always an issue with the lighting. I don't know what's going on with the lighting. Okay, I guess the lighting will fix itself. Okay, amazing. What's going on, guys? Happy Monday. Hope your past weekend went well, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. um, as you guys know, um, it's the first. I believe this is the first week of fall. I think it is. I believe this is the first week of fall. So, um, I like the fall. I'm more of a spring baby. Mainly because I like the the difference between summer weather. Yeah, I like the difference between summer weather and winter weather. You know, you, I like warm. I don't. I'm not a fan of too hot or too cold. I'm a lukewarm type of person. I like being in between. But I also like the fall, even though the fall it even though the fall it kind of gets a little chilly, especially coming from the summer. But it's the best time to snuggle into a windbreaker, break out your light blanket, grab a cup of hot cocoa or a cup of hot coffee, and just and be able to deal with the outside elements. So it's amazing. Um, so today we're speaking. Well, today's topic is on Black culture. And I need to speak about Black culture because it's important to understand where the blacks were and where the blacks are today. Um, Prior to the Civil Rights Act being signed into law, there were about 80% of black people that were married. Black people at one time were a community of families. They believed in the family. Um, Black men knew their role and they played their role as the husband, and the black woman knew her role and she played the role of the wife. And their roles always played parallel and they were never perpendicular, meaning that their roles never intersected. There was no indication that the black woman would try to play the role, or the black wife would try to play the role of the husband, and the black husband would never play the role of the wife. All right. The black man knew he was the provider and the protector. He would do that by any cost, even if it meant joining the military to do so. And when black men joined the military, they did it with pride. They did it with pride, knowing that they were serving a country that gave them the very rights that were granted among other races. And they never wimped and whined and complained about racism and white supremacy. They knew that through hard work, and through education, that they will be able to achieve the American dream. Because the more educated you were, or black men realized the more educated that they were, the more opportunities would open up for them. And the more opportunities that would open up for them, the more of an opportunity they would have to earn more and then to provide for the very family that they were looking to build. And the black woman, realized that the black man would put themselves in that position, and they would do everything within their nature to make sure that they will qualify themselves to be married to these very men. The black woman never looked at the black man as a has been or as a peon or someone that she could compete with, because she knew that it was the man's role to play the role of the provider and the protector, and that the woman could never play that role. This was something that was known in the black community. It was a part of black culture. All right. Um, Black people, prior to the Civil Rights Act being signed, were religious. Black people were guided by God. Black people believe that through God, all good things will come. And they knew this because despite the fact that some of them came from slavery, that they knew that by coming into a country that gave them the constitutional rights, um, to become financially to become financially individuals, that they knew that they would rely on their faith to help them get through. Despite the fact that they were slaves, it didn't stop the blacks from being married. As a matter of fact, black people were more united as a family back then than they are today. As of today, you have 26% of black people married and 77% of black children being born out of wedlock. You see, back then, black people were a community of families, whereas today in 2022, black people are a community of individuals. You have the black woman who are having children out of wedlock with the expectation that an entity would take care of the children as opposed of the father of the children, because the black woman is looking to incentivize having children out of wedlock by the government. They chose the government to take care of the children as opposed to the father. And the black woman reminds the children that the father is not needed in their lives. So the black children wind up growing up resenting the fact that they don't know their father and that they can't be around their father because the black mother is purposely keeping them away from their fathers. So they grow with that resentment towards the mother, and then that resentment is then being spewed is then being laminated throughout the community. Now the rest of the community has to feel the very pain that that um that the mothers created within them. And this is the reason why you're starting to see the behaviors that you're seeing in the black community. The blacks today, they have no control. They are angry. Um, they have no discipline, and they have this false sense of prejudice towards a race that has nothing to do with their problems. You see, the blacks, prior to the Civil Rights Act being signed into law, they allowed God to guide them. Well, after the Civil Rights Act was signed into law, they decided to allow other flawed black leaders to guide them. They started to look at people like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, the NAACP, the Black Congressional Caucus, Ben Crump, Michael Eric Dyson, and all the rest of these so-called black leaders and race pimps as God. They look at them now as the new God. And because of that, it allowed them to be conditioned by them and to grasp upon their every word as if it was the word of God in the Bible. Basically, they have abandoned their God and replaced them with human idols. And this is the reason why you have the behavior that you have today. Jesse Jackson, um, I believe either in the early 70s or in the 80s, told black people that it was the white man that robbed them of their culture and that they need to embrace their African culture and start calling themselves African Americans, even though um, the vast majority of the blacks have no ties to Africa. They don't have any relatives. Um, they don't have any relatives or any trace of African heritage. But yet Jesse Jackson is telling these people, they're telling the blacks to call themselves African Americans. And so the blacks walk around now with this false tense that it was the white man that robbed them of their heritage. A bunch of blacks who who refuse to see things for themselves, research things for themselves, to even see if there's any merit to what this man was saying. They just went along with a man who clearly is exploiting their feelings for profit. Because this is the very man that will go to big companies, companies like Toyota, and will tell them, "Hey, listen, um, these blacks, they think you're racist. They think you're very racist. And if you do not give us what we need, then we're just going to have to tell them that you're racist." Basically, what we're saying is, I have people in our organization that need to be a part of your organization. They need to hold jobs. They need to hold good jobs. And you better give it to them. Because if you don't, well, I'm going to tell the community of thousands, of tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands. I'm going to tell the black community that you are racist. And they'll know that because the very people that I'm telling you to offer jobs to are black. And if you don't offer it to them, they're going to assume that you're not giving it to them because they're black. I can tell them whatever I want to tell them. And then what happens is that companies like Toyota, they bow down because they're too weak and pathetic and pitiful to just tell the blacks to go sit down somewhere. And then they kowtow to these race pimps. And then Jesse Jackson winds up getting a place in a company that he has no business being a part of. And he extorts them for millions of dollars. That's how Jesse Jackson was able to make his millions. And then he does it to other corporations. That's how these people are able to be dirt rich. And then they wind up living in these affluent, predominantly white neighborhoods telling the blacks that they are the victims of white supremacy and racism. Yet these are the very people that are living with the enemy, a bunch of hypocrites. But the blacks can't see it because the blacks choose to have another flawed person guide them, to having God guide them. Okay. Keep in mind, Jesse Jackson is the same person who also fathered another child out of wedlock while he was married. Whole figure. Amazing. But rock culture lives within the blacks. And if you don't believe me, here's a clip proving how far um, black culture has gone. Watch this.
Police say about 100 juveniles were seen inside the store on Roosevelt Boulevard near Tyson after stealing stuff and breaking things and basically trashing the store there. Officers responded to that Wawa and dispersed the crowd. They say no arrests were made and no one was hurt. Their investigation is ongoing.
Amazing. Amazing. So a bunch of blacks routinely going into a Wawa and tearing up the Wawa, throwing things, vandalizing, and then and keep in mind they're doing these very things in their own neighborhood, and then they're wondering why these businesses wind up closing up shop and not coming back. Now, granted, um, the damages were minute, but even still, something like that, where you have a bunch of black monkeys just just completely completely ransacking your store like that, it's enough to put enough concern in you to just close the shop. Because if you have a bunch of unruly black teens coming in and doing that, well, what's next? A bunch of unruly black teens that choose to rob the place as well. We've seen the blacks engage in that activity as well. This is the reason why people do not like the blacks. This is the reason why people do not want to invest in black neighborhoods. It's because of things like this. This is a part of black culture. All right. Now, here's another example of black culture that I want you guys to take a look at.
Least 20 others shot, including a 2-year-old boy. He was shot once in the back. Eddie, the violence has been nonstop over the past 24 hours. What's the latest update on this 2-year-old boy?
Yeah, Sheba, even just walking around the city today, talking to people, they're disgusted just to hear that a 2-year-old is fighting for his life at the hospital. Police didn't have much of an update today, only telling us he's still in critical condition. His mother's by his side, and they didn't have an update on just how a 2-year-old was shot in an apartment.
It may feel like fall outside, but it didn't cool off the violence that's plagued Philadelphia this summer. Philly Bike Fest was planning a ride for peace out to the homes of parents of murder victims, but it got rained out.
We have to do something. We have to bring the community together. We can rip and run on the bikes and hang out, get a cheesesteak anytime, but we're trying to do something for the residents to bring them some ease.
Death and violence washed through neighborhoods.
But such as what though? I mean, such as what? What message are you going to portray to stop the violence in Philadelphia? And we all know that the violence is black on black. What are you going to do to stop that besides doing bike runs and eating cheesesteaks and playing basketball and coming around with your cry song of Stop the violence, increase the peace. What are you willing to do, ma'am? Now, I've been hearing the blacks you say the same rhetoric for the past 3 decades, and it's the same rhetoric. You people say the same thing time and time and time again, and yet the homicide rate among the blacks increases year after year after year after year after year. All right. Now, I know what the issue is, and I'll be able to tell you guys after this clip ends.
Across the city. It started Friday night in Kensington, where an 18-year-old was killed in what police called a robbery gone bad. Instances like this drive peace fighters like Joe Wilson to do more.
We try to show them empathy. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy, so I go there with empathy because I lost a child as well. Each parent somewhere is crying right now, and we try to show them that we care, that somebody cares about what happened to their child.
Over the weekend, over 20 people have been shot and 4 people have been killed. Neighborhoods across the city littered with shell casings and worried residents. In North Philly, a 2-year-old shot inside of an apartment late Saturday night.
No 2-year-old child should be laying in no hospital with a bullet wound, and no child should be laying there.
All the violence hitting home for so many, including police who have had a busy weekend trying to keep up and catch the people pulling the triggers.
Just another tragic situation where you have, again, a kid that should not have to worry about this. 2-year-old should be able to just play and live and be free and not have to worry about, fighting for their lives.
And that was our Eddie Kadam reporting.
I'm going to let you know right now, what you just heard was a bunch of malarkey. Everything that you just heard from those people, from the residents to the police chief, it's all, and excuse my French for this, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. This is the same rhetoric that I've been hearing for the past 3 decades. Well, such a tragedy. 2-year-old should deserve to play and live free, and he doesn't deserve to get shot. 2-year-old doesn't deserve to get shot in the back. But yet it happens time and time and time again. All right. That happened over the weekend. 20 people shot, 4 people killed in the city of brotherly love. That is Philadelphia. Okay. Philadelphia, the second most homicidal city in the country, only behind Chicago. All of these people are full of shit, and I'll tell you why. All right. What is the main thing? What is the main thing that you're hearing? Oh, we need to do something. Oh, we need sympathy, not I give them empathy, not sympathy, because I want to tell them that we care. Oh, we need to do something other than riding bikes and eating cheesesteaks and playing basketball, and we need to do something. We have to do something. Uh, tragic. 2-year-old gets shot. Oh, no child should be shot in their apartment. Children should be able to live free, but a 2-year-old is yet gets shot in the back. What is it that you're actually hearing? I mean, are you hearing solutions? I didn't hear any solutions. All right. You keep hearing the same rhetoric. All right. Even for the people, who speak out against black on black homicides, what is the message that they're relaying? The very message that you're hearing these people say. And it's supposed to be solutions. Solutions to what? Solutions to what? You notice that they're saying we need to do something. but yet you never ever hear what it is that they're trying to do. We need to do something. Like what? They know what it is that needs to be done, but it's going to require them to point the finger at themselves, and they're not willing to do that. I know what needs to be done in the black community. That's the reason why I well, I'll let you guys know when it comes up, but I know what needs to be done in the black community. Sorry about the lighting, guys. I don't know what's going on with the lighting. Never mind. What needs to be done is is the blacks need to hold themselves accountable for their actions. Now, what did I say before? All right. What did I mention before? Prior to the Civil Rights Act, 80% of black people were married. That no longer exists. That number today is drastically dropped. Oh, guys. Drastically dropped by a staggering 54%. 54%. So the blacks are not together. Black men and black women are choosing to have children out of wedlock, and the men are not leading the household. The men are gone. That means you have 77% of black children growing up without a father in the household. They are now being raised by black women, black emotional women who impose their will on the children and make them angrier than they should be. They purposely keep the black father away from them because they have resentment towards the father not wanting to be there, even though they chose these very men to procreate with out of wedlock. There lays the problem. But rather than the black woman resolving the issue by reuniting the father with the children, they do everything they can to put a wedge between the father and the children because they know that most black men want to be fathers to their children. They want to be there for the children, but the black mother, because she is an evil Jezebel, chooses to separate the father from the children. And this is the type of result that you get: a bunch of angry black children running around and causing ruckus towards the rest of the community. These are the same black children that cannot be disciplined in school, that are in and out of jail, and they are running the streets in street gangs. And these are the same black males that are homosexuals because they are angry, they are confused, and they're looking for guidance. They're looking for um, guidance from a male figure that they're not getting at home because the mother is an angry, selfish Jezebel that was taught by by her mother to be independent. No, you don't need a man. What do you need a man for? No, you need an education. Go out and get your education. Go out and get your degree. Go out and get your business. And then you can deal with a man. That, my friends, it's what's leading to the culture that you see today among the blacks. The blacks right now are a ticking time bomb. But the ticking time bomb comes from it comes from the Civil Rights Act. That's during the 60s. Radicalism started to come in. Feminism started to take charge. All right. Marxist movements such as the Black Panthers took charge, which were led by a bunch of angry, difficult blacks who grew up in a single parent household in which matriarchy was the leadership instead of patriarchy. And this is the results that you get: a bunch of angry black men who allow their emotions to control their actions. And we all know that anyone who is emotional is not rational, because emotional people do not think, they react. Why else do you think that whenever you are in an emotional state, you either have to take the pause to say, "Hold on, let me calm down and let me think things out." Because when you're in an emotional state, you cannot think. You react. Emotional people think and not react. And this is the type of thing now that you're seeing from the blacks. Black people reacting and not thinking. You either have to stop yourself and think. I mean, you either have to stop yourself from being emotional, or someone else has to remind you to calm down and think things out, because you cannot think when you are overly emotional. That's what you're seeing from the blacks today. This whole thing about racism, white supremacy, they're all made up entities, and they're doing it. And these very people are saying it because they know that the blacks, for the most part, not all, but most blacks, are emotional creatures. The black men are just as emotional as the black women, because the black man was raised by a black woman and not a black man. And even and even if they were raised by the black men, a lot of these black men are emotional themselves, because they were raised by a black woman. This is what the black community is all about, and this is the reason why you see this is the part of the black culture. This is the reason why you are seeing the things that you're seeing today. But I have another term to call what we're seeing in black in black culture. All right. You see all of this vandalism, violence among each other, violence, no blacks having no disregard for other people's property, blacks having no disregard for other people's lives, whether it be blacks, whether it be whites, whether it be Hispanics, or whether it be Asians. The blacks are the only ethnic group to lead in homicides among other races. Twice the amount of black on white homicides than white on black homicides. Twice the amount of Three times the amount of black on Asian homicides than Asian on black homicides. And to think that the blacks only make up 11% of the US population, and yet they're causing 50% of the homicides committed in America, is astronomical. But it's because the blacks have embraced a culture of violence, because we all know that the blacks resolve conflicts through violence. That is black culture. But I also have another name for it. It's also called niggerish behavior. And that's what the blacks have embraced: niggerish behavior. You see, the blacks can care less about killing each other. the black women can care less about wearing um um clothing that is sexual in nature. The black women can care less about um displaying themselves within a sexual nature. Why? Because they are looking for the attention of the very figure that they're not getting at home, which is the father. Make no mistake, the family is the most important institution in society. Without the family, people would not be able to coincide within any institution within society. The only institution that they're going to wind up being a part of is the Department of Corrections institution. That's the only space for them. Or a board home. You know what I mean? Not even boot camp will probably get through the blacks. It's going to take a lot to try to get the blacks on board because of years of abuse that they had to take from 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 a one parent system that has failed them. Okay? But again, this is a part of black culture. Black people willing to allow the government to take care of all their needs as opposed to them taking care of their own needs. The fact that you have 90% of more than 90% of the blacks that vote Democrat every single time that the election season comes around, all because they were conditioned to believe a bunch of blacks who had no interest in them whatsoever. They were able to allow those very people to condition them into believing that they are victims of society rather than becoming productive people of society. They have convinced them that the government needs to take care of their problems as opposed to them being their own individuals and taking care of their own problems. The simple fact that the blacks would rather take free things from the government rather than working themselves. The fact that the blacks believe in being lazy, the fact that they believe in a handout instead of earning people's business is the reason why you see the very attitudes that you see today. All right? And make no mistake, if we do not speak up, if we do not buck against the blacks, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse than better. And this is really more of a message to white people. White people. All right? You people need to start standing up to these blacks. You need to start telling them. You need to start being honest with them and telling them, listen, you can call me racist all you want. You can call me a Nazi. You can call me whatever floats your boat. All right. You can call me a Nazi, a neo-Nazi, a white supremacist, a skinhead. Call me whatever you want to call me. I am not responsible for your problems. You are an American like I am an American. And we all have the same rights under the US Constitution that gives us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We all have an opportunity to the American dream. What are you doing to put yourself in a position to capture that American dream? Because living off the government is not going to make you obtain the American dream. All right. I mean, look at the housing projects. Look at what we gave. Look at what we gave the blacks. We gave them housing projects in which they pay which they pay a mere fraction of what the average person pays in a mortgage. I mean, if the average person pays about $1,200 a month in a mortgage, they probably pay maybe a tenth of that, maybe $120. You would think that paying that low of a rent would make them appreciate that low income housing that they're living in. But no. Oh no. The blacks can't even keep that area nice and clean. No. It's riddled with trash, drug paraphernalia, prostitution, crime, homicides, you name it. And what this shows is that this has nothing to do with opportunities. This has nothing to do with resources. Resources are plenty with the blacks. I mean, the blacks don't even have to work, to be quite honest with you. They can just live off of welfare. This has more to do with the entitlement, the anger, the confusion, and the lost guidance that they had growing up. Because the blacks are growing in a individualistic community. There are no families in the black community. You don't hear of the blacks wanting to get married. Black women don't even believe in getting married because they're being taught by their mothers that college supersedes a husband. And this is the reason why the black culture is where it's at today. And if anybody disagrees, feel free to comment. Feel free to comment. Or matter of fact, let me throw the question at you guys, or the ones that are viewing, which I appreciate, by the way. What do you think is the plight of the black community? Why do you think the black community is, or why do you think that the black, or the actions of the black community is counterproductive today, prior to the way it was to the Civil Rights Act being signed into law? Why is it? I mean, with the amount of laws that are on the books for the blacks, I mean, the blacks have all types of opportunities now to make it. I mean, they have affirmative. I mean, think about it. The blacks have affirmative action. They don't even have to qualify for anything. All they have to do is just sign up and they'll get it because they're black. Because of the color of their skin, they immediately qualify. They qualify for college. They will be able to qualify for a job. So why isn't this approving their behavior? Why are, despite all of the opportunities that the blacks have, why are they behaving like monkeys? Why are they behaving as 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 monkeys that should be locked in cages? I mean, just look at this. Just just look at this for 1 second. Just look at this.
More about this scene that unfolded in a Mayfair Wawa last night. Police say about 100 juveniles were seen inside the store on Roosevelt Boulevard near Tyson after stealing stuff.
And it's mainly the blacks that you see engaging in this type of action. You don't really see white people engaging in this. It's the blacks. The blacks, the only ones that I know, because I grew up, I grew up in a neighborhood with the blacks. I mean, I grew up in an urban neighborhood, so I know how the blacks conduct themselves. And this is how they will conduct themselves. And granted, not all blacks are like that, but most of them are. And anytime you have a vast majority of people engaging in this type of behavior, then you have to assume that this is that although most blacks do not engage in this, this is a part of their culture. All right. The very people who are spearing out Black Lives Matter are engaging in this type of action. And then they wonder why businesses that the blacks vandalize, that they wind up destroying, ransacking, and robbing, all of a sudden close up and never come back. And then they'll be the first ones to say that that these businesses are racist because they don't want to invest in black communities. But would you want to invest in a black community in which the citizens that live in this community are conducting themselves in this type of manner?
Stuff and breaking things and basically trashing the store there. Officers responded to that Wawa and dispersed the crowd. They say no arrests were made and no one was hurt. Their investigation is ongoing.
Niggerish behavior. That's all it is. Niggerish behavior. We need to start calling it for what it is. Niggerish behavior. Why would anyone want to do business with these monkeys? It makes no sense at all. No sense. I mean, would you want to engage with these type of animals? I wouldn't. Amazing. But we know what the issue is. And yet the very things that I said are are the very things that I do not hear these so-called black community leaders saying. Why aren't they saying this? Why? That's the question that we need to start asking them. Why aren't you addressing the black families? Why aren't you addressing the culture? Why not? Why? You know that's where the problem lays. All right? You giving hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money to these angry blacks is like pouring gasoline on a fire. All it's going to do is exacerbate the fire. It's not going to make the situation better. It's only going to make it worse because there's no accountability in the black community. If there were black families, if the black families were intact, if these black people, if the black man and the black woman who chose to procreate these babies kids, yes, I called them babies kids. If the black man and the black woman decided to procreate these children in the right manner, you would not see the type of behavior that is that is instructed today. You would not see the type of behavior that is displayed today. You wouldn't see it. It wouldn't exist. Black people will behave like model citizens, but they're behaving out of emotions because of the lost guidance of the fathers that the black mothers are purposely keeping away from the black man, from the black father. And yet these mothers are claiming that they love their children, yet the children grow, have anger and resentment because they're not with their father. They don't have the guidance of the father. And rather than fixing that problem by reuniting them with the father, they would rather put them on drugs. Here's KBM. How are you doing, KBM? I appreciate you for tuning in. But yes, that's the case. That's the issue because the black woman is selfish. But yet she was the one that chose to open her legs and allow this very man to impregnate her out of wedlock. But then will have the nerve to down talk the father of her children that she chose to procreate and then allow that child to grow resentment and anger, and then that child will take it out in the world in the form of violence and and or homosexuality. That, my friends, is the black culture that you won't hear from this woman. I'm sorry, wrong one.
Violent first weekend of fall in Philadelphia.
A 2-year-old was
Parents of murder victims.
Anytime, but and hang out, get a cheese. We can rip and run on the bike, do something. We have to bring the community together. We can rip and run on the bike.
Tell me how are you going to bring the community together? Just tell me how are you going to bring the community together? How? I want you guys to listen to this woman as she is talking.
Bikes and hang out, get a cheesesteak anytime. But we're trying to do something for the residents to bring them some ease.
So she thinks by bringing the community together that the blacks need to ride bikes and eat a cheesesteak. That's what's going to stop the black on black killing in Philadelphia, which is close to 400 homicides in the city of Philadelphia. So she's saying that the way to bring the community together to stop the black on black killing, all right, is to ride bikes together and to eat cheesesteaks. That's the way that the black on black killing is going to subside in the city of Philadelphia.
Death and violence washed through neighborhoods across the city. It started Friday night in Kensington, where an 18-year-old was killed in what police called a robbery gone bad. Instances like this drive peace fighters like Joe Wilson to do more.
We try to show them
Yeah.
empathy. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. So I go there with empathy.
Empathy. Okay, let's show the blacks empathy. Yes, let's understand their feelings. Yes, yes, because that's going to stop the black on black homicide. All right? That's going to stop the intentional act of taking somebody's life. Yes, we need to have empathy. Yes, let's understand their pain. Yes, because that's what's going to stop it. Okay. Oh, all right.
Because I lost a child as well. Each parent somewhere is crying right now, and we try to show them that we care, that somebody cares.
I mean, listen, I understand that this man also lost a child towards violence. But again, what are you guys hearing? Are you hearing any type of solutions at all? All I'm hearing is a bunch of sympathy acts. And granted, at what point do we start looking beyond sympathy and start looking for solutions? Um, maybe I need to do a public hearing whenever they're coming out with these issues, and I really want to hear their true reaction towards what I have to say, because truth be told, um, numbers do not lie. The blacks can hide behind their Juneteenth, their Black History Month, their bike rides, their cheesesteak days. They can hide behind all of that to make themselves feel good. But until you truly address the real issues that are occurring in the black community, this will continue to occur, and it will occur in higher masses. All right. The homicide rate in Philadelphia right now is probably going to be close to 400. I won't be surprised. I mean, it's only September. I won't be surprised if the homicide rate in Philadelphia reaches 600. I mean, it was what, 532 last year? All right. And it's only going to get worse year after year after year because the blacks are killing each other. And yet the community leaders who claim to be leaders of the blacks that are always looking for the government to give them money to promote their cause are the very ones that are not addressing the the reason why they are killing each other. All they're doing is just taking money and then pampering and catering to the blacks' emotions as of, well, oh my God, black people, we need to stop killing each other. Why are they killing each other? See, these are the questions that I would ask. Okay, well, why are they killing each other? Oh, because because lack lack of opportunity. Okay, hundreds of millions of dollars has been given for programs that the blacks are not even taking advantage of, but yet the taxpayers of Philadelphia are on the hook for it. So give me another reason. Uh, they're not giving them anything. They're in gangs. Okay. Why are they in gangs? Uh, I don't know. Exactly.
It's about what happened to their child.
Over the weekend, over 20 people have been shot and 4 people have been killed. Neighborhoods across the city littered with shell casings and worried residents. In North Philly, a 2-year-old shot inside of an apartment late Saturday night.
A 2-year-old was shot. 2 years old. Black excellence. Black power. Throw your black fist in the air. I feel so I feel so motivated to be black. As a matter of fact, as of tonight, I am officially embracing my blackness. I'm just so proud of the blacks. I'm so proud of the blacks. A 2-year-old was shot, and we all know the 2-year-old is black. But of course, the media doesn't want you to know that because the black on black violence that is occurring like crazy is due to the blacks. Although the media wants to portray that, white people are trying to hurt the blacks. White people are trying to lynch the blacks. But yet this is the thing that occurs all the time and it's swept under the rug. But a person like me will call it out all the time. Okay? And if you guys continue to tune in to my channel, if you guys if you guys continue to subscribe, these are the type of things that you're going to get. And it's the truth. And a person like me needs to speak the truth. And I wish more people will start to speak the truth as well. We also have some other black conservatives that are speaking the truth, but I think we need to be more vocal beyond just speaking the truth on our channel. We really, really need to go down and we really, really need to start telling these blacks, listen, the problem doesn't lay along among white people. The problem doesn't lay among Asian people or Hispanic people. It's you people. It's you blacks. It's your culture. You are a culture of individualistic individuals and not a culture of families. All right? You blacks will rather live alone. You blacks would rather have multiple children out of wedlock. You blacks would rather kill the unborn child in your womb due to the Planned Parenthood that's in 70% of the black neighborhood. You blacks would rather get on top of a car and gyrate your hips, all right, in a form called twerking. You blacks would rather listen to music in which you're calling each other niggers, in which you emulate, in which you glorify drugs, sex, and violence. You blacks will rather embrace rot culture instead of embracing holy culture. That is the movement of the blacks in a nutshell.
Night.
No 2-year-old child should be laying in no hospital with a bullet wound in him. No child should be laying there.
All the violence hitting home for so many, including police who have had a busy weekend trying to keep up and catch the people pulling the triggers.
Just another tragic situation where you have, again, a
Also, keep in mind the very people that are screaming Black Lives Matter are the very people that are going to hide the people that are shooting and killing other blacks. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Oh, except for the blacks that happen to to be shot, or except for the blacks that wind up getting caught up in their crossfire. Oh, yeah, their lives don't matter. By the way, whenever you hear about 20 people being shot, 4 people being killed, uh, where's Black Lives Matter? Can anybody tell me? I mean, did you see any Black Lives Matter activists out here? I mean, I didn't see any Black Lives Matter activists um defending their black lives. What about their black lives? Shouldn't their Black Lives Matter as well? Oh, oh, that's right. Well, it's only Black Lives Matter when it's perceived that black people are attacked by white people. But whenever black people kill black people, that's just niggers being niggers. Amazing. It's just the blacks being the blacks. What difference does it make? It's just black people being black. This is black culture. When black people kill black people, that's black culture. That's our culture because the blacks love to resolve conflicts through violence.
kid that should not have to worry about this. 2-year-old should be able to just play and live and be free and not have to worry about uh, you know fighting for their lives.
And that was our Eddie Kadam reporting.
So, I mean, I put all of this for a reason. Um, this is a culture that is denigrating by the generations. And the reason why there's not going to be an end to this is because you have generations of black young black men and black women being raised by single mothers, aka broken households, where matriarchy rules over patriarchy. So this is the culture that you're going to see for many, 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 many years. However, um, just like how a person can be in stage 3 or stage 4 cancer, where it seems as if there's no end, to where it seems as if there's no point of recovery. There's always a slim chance that things can start to turn around. And it'll start to turn around when black people will start to look themselves in the mirror and start to see that the problem relies upon them. And until the blacks hold themselves accountable, then this is their culture. Now, the blacks can claim other positive things that they have contributed to society. All that is fine and dandy. They can talk about how talented they are, singing and dancing and attending the top colleges and graduating with a cum laude. And listen, that's only a selective few. That's not all of you. So while the blacks can say, well, not all, well, I can't speak for those blacks. I can only speak for me, that I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I'm doing the right thing and I'm not having sex out of wedlock and I'm going to college and I'm looking forward to getting married, and I'm going to be the best wife that I can to my husband. Yeah, that's a selective few. You are, for the most part, the blacks are a community of individuals, and everyone doesn't have that mindset. What everyone does have is that tribalistic collectivism mentality that they all need to stick together and embrace their blackness as opposed to embracing righteousness. That is black culture, ladies and gentlemen. And as long as the blacks believe that they would rather rely on other people as opposed to relying on God, then this will continue to occur. It's the showing right here. Hello, you've been hearing your live stream on and off due to me being work on break now. Okay, okay, Deshaun, that's fine. That's fine. You can always swing by and hear me out. Hopefully, you're able to get the message that I'm getting out. Um, People, these type of occurrences that you've seen, and it's only a few. I mean, I could have brought up more, but to be honest with you, you pretty much get what the black culture is all about just based on what you're hearing. I mean, just based on what you witnessed tonight. So whenever you hear the blacks praising, speaking about Black History Month and Juneteenth and George Floyd holiday, or whatever it is that they're looking to celebrate to make themselves feel good, if you happen to hear them celebrating these so-called holidays, ask them a question. Whenever you hear the blacks celebrating or supporting Black Lives Matter, whenever you hear them supporting Black History Month, whenever you hear them supporting Juneteenth, ask them these questions. What does any of this have to do with with black culture? With black culture um being productive rather than being counterproductive. All right. Ask them this question. Is celebrating Juneteenth going to stop the black on black homicides that are occurring in America? In 2021, nearly 10,000 black people were killed at the hands of other blacks. There were more black people killed at the hands of other blacks than black people killed in the entire existence of the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? The Ku Klux Klan was observed it was established in the late 1800s, all right? Sometime around the time where the Jim Crow laws were enacted in 1877, in which a little over 3,800 black people were killed by the Ku Klux Klan. The amount of blacks that were killed at the hands of other blacks uh, almost triples that amount. But yet you'll hear the blacks bringing up the crimes of the Ku Klux Klan and not bringing up the crimes within themselves. Why? Because for some reason, the blacks believe that accountability is their own kryptonite. Here's the Sean. I hear what you've been saying, and I pretty much agree. The culture is in bad shape. No lie. Absolutely. That's what it really comes down to. If you change the culture, you change the behavior. Never. It's from KBM. It's from Deshaun again. The only response a person will get from that question is an attack on them. Yeah, I mean, for me, for me, I happen to grow up um, in the urban area with the blacks, so I know how black people think. There was a time where I where I felt that the blacks were were unjustly done wrong. That I thought that the system were against the blacks. And at one time, I actually went I actually was supporting that, that whole movement until I seen how it made black people worse than better. I would see black people get violent for no reason at all. You know, um, sitting in a classroom, uh, sitting in a classroom in high school, like I would see some of the blacks throw things at the teacher unprovoked. I mean, what can anyone else do to make you want to even throw things or to verbally assault them? This is a part of their culture. It's just the sense of entitlement where the blacks feel victimized, where they feel that the system has done them wrong, where and in which they're getting this type of information from the very people that are exploiting their feelings for profits. And it's the very profits that they're being exploited for that they won't ever see a penny of. But they don't mind partaking in that manner. Okay. Truth be told, the culture is bad. The black woman doesn't respect the black man. The black woman believes that she is equal to the black man. The black woman believes that she can that she can do whatever she wants to do, that she can have as many partners as she wants to have, that she can go out and have sex out of wedlock and not have to worry about being judged for it. Whereas back then, prior to the Civil Rights Act being signed, if a black woman were to even have a child out of wedlock, that black woman wouldn't be allowed to come back to that community. The blacks would not accept her at all. She would have to move to another community. Black people were not having that. What? You had a child out of wedlock? Oh, you can't come back here. If you do, we're gonna criticize you so bad to the point we're gonna shame you so bad to the point where you're not gonna want to live here anymore. See, that's when black people used to hold people accountable. Accountability doesn't last anymore. Black people are always making excuses for their actions rather than taking responsibility for their actions and then moving on to not only not make that mistake again, but to actually do better for themselves because they want to become a pillar for their community. You don't see that anymore. All right. The black heroes that you hear of, the ones that actually are taking part of the community, that are telling people to not have children out of wedlock, that are trying to galvanize the community through either through sports or through other actions, reminding them that they are responsible for their own actions. Those people are shunned, and the ones that are celebrated are the very people that have been the that have been victims of single black woman syndrome. The ones walking around with their pants hanging off their butt, the ones that are coming in entitled, expecting everything, and if they don't get they don't get what they want, then they believe they should get it through mob justice, forcing their way into your pockets, either through aggression or through a weapon. Here's the showing again. The ability for one to shame someone for their bad actions and choices have been removed from society and been replaced with entitlement. I rest my case. I rest my case. Like like Jesse Lee Peterson would say, I rest my case. And this is a part of black culture. This is the reason why you're seeing what you're seeing today. Now, for a lot of people, they understand this, but maybe for the people who don't understand this, for the people who don't understand why why most blacks are behaving the way that they're behaving, is because they feel entitled to do so. It has been replaced with their behavior has been more of an entitlement, and the ability to shame someone has been replaced. They don't shame blacks are not being shamed anymore. Instead, they're being rewarded for their actions. Look at the unemployed drug addict with a criminal record, George Floyd, a man who was a who people would consider a menace to society, a man that had an extensive rap sheet, a person who was well known to the police department, a person who had contact with the police for committing a crime. This man wanted to buy an item with a counterfeit money. All right, had contact with the police. Okay, keep in mind this man swallowed 3 times the amount of fentanyl. All right, and he ingested 3 times the amount of fentanyl. That man is acting belligerent. The police try to apprehend him, right, and he dies, right, under their custody, and they want to make it look as if George Floyd died because of the police, when truth be told, George Floyd died because of himself. And what do? They give this man a statue out in Trenton, New Jersey somewhere. This man is rewarded a statue. This man who had an extensive criminal record, which included aggravated assault, where he placed a gun in a pregnant woman's stomach. I believe that's what happened. I mean, this man was a thug, a menace to society. All right. Um, this man should not be celebrated, but he's being celebrated as the next coming to Martin Luther King. Those are your heroes. Breonna Taylor. They gave her some type of bust out in Kentucky. This was a woman that was involved in criminal actions with thugs, with black thugs, and yet she gets rewarded, and yet she's being praised as a martyr. This was a woman that was involved in crimes which included hiding um a dead body in the rental car. I mean, in the truck of I mean in the trunk of a rental car that was under her name, that I'm sure her boyfriend was involved in. This woman wanted to deal with criminals. You know what I mean? Now, granted, when the police kicked in the door because they were delivering a search warrant, and this drug dealer decided to hide behind Breonna Taylor, and it was Breonna Taylor that wound up getting the uh the 6 shots rather than the boyfriend. Yes, it's unfortunate, but Breonna Taylor put herself in that situation. Let's go to KBM. or and he was in porn. This is relating to George Floyd, and yet this man gets a bust. I mean, this man gets a statue in Trenton, New Jersey. These are the type of people that they are praising. All right. So let me get this straight. They would rather they would rather rewrite history by getting rid of the Confederate flag, getting rid of the General E. Lee statue, and the Washington statue, and the Jefferson statue, and all these statues that resemble our history. They would rather rewrite history and remove those statues and then replace it with criminals. So being a thug, being a miscreant is the new hero of American society. And you wonder why the blacks are behaving the way that they're behaving. They see this and they see that criminal being a criminal is being celebrated. So is that going to stop them from being criminals? It's bad enough that they were misguided. It's bad enough that they are angry. It's bad enough that they are emotional, that they carry the very identity of their mothers and they don't understand how to change that. It's bad enough. And then society makes it worse when they start rewarding people that these very people are. So they're looking at this and they're saying, oh, okay, well, maybe it's okay to be emotional. Maybe it's okay to be angry. Maybe it's okay to be in porn because because in the end, regardless of what happens to me, if I die, I will be forever immoralized. You're gonna have a bunch of stupid people in Congress wearing some type of um Ghana getup, trying to resemble Africa and taking a knee, all in the name of a unemployed drug addict named George Floyd. All of these stupid people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, all right, wanting to be culturally competent and wanting to play along the very thing that they know nothing about. And again, it's just another way of them pandering to the blacks. You see, the blacks and the Democrats have been forever tied to each other. You see, the Democrats realize, okay, if we can't own the blacks as slaves, then let's try to own them another way. What we'll do is that we'll just keep them impoverished. We'll 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 keep them on welfare. We'll keep them in government housing and keep them there and give them so many benefits to where they feel as if they cannot do anything for themselves because they're going to look at it as, oh, massa taking care of us now. We don't have to do anything for ourselves. Why work? Who works? People who work are losers. We're getting it for free. Why work? I can stay right where I'm at and get benefits from the government. And they don't even realize that the government is keeping them from wanting to become independently for them to be financially independent. And that's all because of the conditioning of being dependent. Here's the showing again. Thank the liberal media for using George Floyd and the so-called face of black men. In reality, liberal media is telling the world this is how black men are. Yeah. People need to wake up and not woke down. Couldn't have said it better myself, Deshaun. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the comments too. You know, all the people that are tuning in. I appreciate you guys for the comments. Um, this is the thing that will forever be the problem. And this is something that as long as we continue to raise awareness of it, then maybe they'll start to wake up. They will start to wake up. Although they'll be angry, and I'm sure there'll be setbacks and um you know, well, you're going to get a lot of resistance from the blacks because most blacks, not all, but most blacks that have this type of mindset are going to be very upset because they're going to be into their feelings, and they're going to say, "What? It's my fault? What do you mean it's my fault?" Yes, it is your fault. All of these things are a choice. Poverty is a choice. All right? People choose to be poor. All right? No such thing as white privilege. If white privilege really existed, then why do you have more white people on welfare than black people? And of course, the blacks can't answer that. They never do. No such thing. Poverty is a choice. All right? You choose to be in the end, people are not poor, all right? People make poor decisions. That's what happens. Hold on one second. Um, all right, I'll wait for him to connect this mic. Um, KBM, if you want to join the show, you're more than likely. Just let me know and I'll add you on. Um, but this should be the real news, and I will continue to keep making this the news. Um, this is the time for the blacks to stop making excuses. Excuses are over. It is on them to make the decisions in order to become better citizens. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is if they change the culture. It's all about the culture. Okay. Whenever you see black women conducting themselves in a sexual manner, you already know that these black women are engaging in some type of prostitution. I mean, if they're willing to do that out in public, you already know what they're doing when people are not seeing them. And that's a part of black culture. When you have black women making a song about how their private part helps them pay for the very things that they have. That, ladies and gentlemen, is prostitution. That is a part of black culture, whether you like it or not. There are a lot of blacks that can say, well, that's not me. Okay, but that's a vast majority of you. If you're trying to tell me that black people are good people, there's a vast majority of black people that are not. Otherwise, you wouldn't have 77% of black babies born out of wedlock. That is not what a vast majority of a community does. But when you have the absence of a man leading the family, then this is a this is a this is a race that can be easily influenced by the children of the lie, such as feminists, such as radical black groups like Black Lives Matter, the Black Panthers, the Nation of Islam, the Black Hebrew Israelites, the Black Congressional Caucus, the NAACP, and on and on and on. It's easy to look at other people when you're not looking towards God, because it's only God that can lead the way. But this was amazing. Um this was great for all the people that tune in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Um I'm going to I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave out. Um, I'm gonna leave with this one message, and that is, and it's a simple one. It's just accountability is the healer of all, and the blacks need to get back to shaming people, and they need to get back to holding people accountable for their actions. And trust me, I will be the lead towards that because I have no problems telling the blacks how they are. Amazing. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And hold on. Sorry. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And until next time, this is the conservative. I'm signing out. Have a blessed evening, and um have a great night. Amazing.